Okay, we are officially started, guys. So 1 second, let me share my screen and we will kick off tonight's meeting. So let me go full screen with this and we're going to get going. Okay. I am so excited to be here with you tonight. My name is Lene Alves and I'm a career coach at Loyola University, but I work with students in the Quinlan School of Business. But we are really excited to be putting on tonight's event with you. And I'm super excited to introduce the partner group who is putting this on with us. We're super excited to be partnering with Alpha this evening. So I'd like to introduce you to Peter Pacheco, who is the Alpha president here at Loyola University for our chapter of Alpha. So I want to give him a moment to talk a little bit about tonight's event, about Alpha, and let you guys know what that is. He's going to be talking a little bit at the end again, but I'll turn it over to you, Peter.
Thank you, Lene. And just as Lene said, I'm super excited about this event. I'd like to thank her so much for reaching out to me and helping put out this event. So a little bit about Alpha. It's a Latino organization. It is a national organization as well. What we want to do is create more leaders within here in the US. So basically, some of the events that we have are things such as this, different workshops, network opportunities, and as well as internship opportunities. So if you guys need to reach out to me, here's my email on screen. I'll also put it in the chat as well. But just again, thank you, Lene, for putting on this event with us. And thank you to everyone who showed up tonight.
Yes, nothing better than having people participate and show up. It is great. And you guys, listen, I know, you all know that you could be doing any number of things right now, and you wouldn't have to be here attending a LinkedIn presentation. I give you guys a lot of credit for signing up and even more credit for showing up, because this is really valuable. I promise you, what you are going to be hearing about here tonight is going to help you not just now, as you're looking for internships and jobs as a college student, but throughout the rest of your career. So rest assured that your time spent here is going to be quite valuable, and we are going to make sure of that. So let's talk a little bit now about me. I want you to just hear a little bit about my background for just a quick 60 seconds. I joined Loyola University last September. And prior to that, and I mentioned earlier, I work with the undergrads. Specifically, I work with undergrads mostly in the Quinlan School of Business. Occasionally, I'll see a graduate student, also some alumni who've graduated from the undergrad program at Quinlan. But prior to coming to Loyola University last September, I had a 29-year career in corporate America in sales and sales leadership roles. So I started at the Chicago Tribune right out of college, thanks to a career fair, by the way, and worked in a number of different businesses in advertising and media sales. The last company that I worked at was Comcast. So that was my profession. During 20 of those years in my professional life, I was a hiring manager. So I know what employers are looking for. I was also a very successful job candidate myself. And so I really know this process from both sides, how to present as a candidate and how to be an appealing candidate to an employer, and also what I was looking for as a hiring manager. So I'll be happy to take questions from you guys at the end of tonight's presentation, by the way. Sorry about that. So make sure that if you have questions that come up, make a note or pop them in the chat. We'll be looking at the chat at the end of the presentation, and we will make time for that. I won't take questions throughout the presentation because it'll end up kind of messing up our flow. So I also started my own career coaching business in 2017. And I know a lot about this process, from writing resumes to building LinkedIn profiles to interview skills to job search and networking and all of the things that go into that process. And I have 2 college-age kids, which I hope will give you guys a little bit of a sense that I've got a little bit of, I guess, credibility. I've helped my son with his resume. He got a job. He just graduated in December. He is starting a new job in June, actually. So this stuff works. I love working with all of you guys, and I'm really excited to have you here. So let me, move along here. So let's get into the content for tonight about LinkedIn. What do you need to know? Well, LinkedIn is a tool that allows you to promote and create a professional brand. Now, this is similar to what you have on your resume, right? Your resume is also a professional branding tool. And the bottom line is that your professional brand is important, whether you're a college undergrad, whether you are a college senior getting ready to search for a professional role, or whether you are into your career. It's important to understand that you need to market yourself when you are job searching and when you are engaged in this whole process. And not only when you're engaged in the job search process, it's something that you do over time and consistently. We're going to talk about that tonight. So there is a brand called you. You are a brand, right? If you're looking for an internship, if you're looking for a full-time job, you're a brand and you're marketing yourself. I guess I just want you to understand that that's part of what this process is. So marketing yourself, promoting yourself effectively is really important and will support greater success. And here's the really cool thing with your resume and with LinkedIn. You have 100% control over your brand, okay? So you get to control the narrative. And so making sure that you are putting your best foot forward, making sure that you are describing your prior work experience in the best way possible is really important. And what I want to say to everybody right now in this meeting is that, I've worked with so many students since last September, several hundred at this point. And, sometimes a student will think, I don't even want to put my job at Taco Bell on my resume, but I can tell you that any job can be described in an elevated way. So how you describe what you did makes all the difference. And that's what I mean when I say you have 100% control over your brand. You can change your brand. Maybe you start, again, once you're in your professional career doing one job, but maybe you feel like it's not a fit. What's great about LinkedIn is you can immediately reposition. I did this, right? I worked in sales and sales management, in media sales and sales management specifically for 29 years. And then poof, I was able to rebrand myself and start over as a career coach when I started my own business. So that's how powerful a tool LinkedIn can be. But for you guys, you don't need to worry about rebranding. You just need to worry about getting your brand defined and getting your information onto LinkedIn. So we're going to talk about that tonight. So I want you to know millions of people, I'm sure you know this, millions of people, actually hundreds of millions of people are on LinkedIn. Why? Because it's a valuable professional branding tool. It's easy to build your network and increase your visibility on LinkedIn. It's a valuable tool. And like I said, it's not only valuable when you're looking for a job. That's not the only time you want to be paying attention to your LinkedIn profile. You don't have to pay attention to it every day of the week, but you do need to start learning to engage on it more regularly. It will be a tool that will be helpful to you throughout your professional career. It is established as the go-to resource for online professional profiles and for professional social networking. I'm sure many of you are on social media, and I'm sure you probably don't view LinkedIn as the most exciting social media, but I can tell you that it really can be. And tonight I'm really excited because later in our presentation, we have a Loyola student who is going to be speaking with us and sharing where I'm going to share his LinkedIn profile live, and we're going to talk about the value that he's gotten out of LinkedIn because he's really done an exceptional job of building his profile from scratch and really making it something that speaks volumes about him and that really shows a professional image for somebody who is getting ready, who's later in his college career getting ready to graduate. It's really impressive. So just so you know, there are over 800 million LinkedIn members worldwide. About 180 million LinkedIn members are here in the US. Oops, excuse me. And that's just to kind of share with you the breadth and depth of it. Now, all of the people on LinkedIn are not active. I think right now the estimate is that of the 180 million who are on LinkedIn in the US, about 66 million or so are active users. This means that they're regularly engaging, logging onto the platform, being active on the platform, et cetera. So let's talk about preparing for your internship or job search, which I'm sure many of you are engaged in right now. That's really what I'm talking to every student I meet with about. So what do you need to market yourself effectively? Well, you need a strong resume, and I did a resume workshop in a couple of them in early February. And those are available online, and I can drop a link to you guys at the end of today's presentation if that's something you want to see. And what we're going to talk about tonight is you also can benefit from, for sure, a professional LinkedIn profile. It's not mandatory, but I highly recommend it. It has been something that I have been on for years and years and years, consistently engaging on it. And I think that the benefits have been really great. And then the third thing that you need to be successful are good interview skills. Now, we're not going to talk about those tonight, but these are really kind of the foundational pieces of a successful search for an internship or a job. And of course, if you need help with any of these things, you can make an appointment, a one-on-one appointment with a career coach. If you're in the Quinlan School, you can book with me. If you're not in the Quinlan School, you've got a whole bunch, actually quite a few career coaches who you can meet with in any of the other schools, right? Whether it's the health and medical team or whether it's the team supporting the College of Arts and Sciences, there are career coaches for every discipline here at Loyola. So what I'd like to start with is highlighting a few top LinkedIn tips that I'd like to share with all of you today. You know, when I meet with students and we go over LinkedIn profiles, these are the things that pretty consistently we go over. So again, if you need more detail or want more individualized help, just know that you can get that one-on-one after today's meeting. But I want to give you as much as I can, as quickly as I can, about LinkedIn. So first, I want you to know that it's important for you to create your professional looking intro section. So on LinkedIn, this top section here is called your intro section. So a couple things I want to point out. And here we've got a sophomore at Loyola who let me share some of her profile tonight. So a couple things. You always want to have a professional photo, and ideally a photo of you that is relatively current. So this morning I met with a student, and he has a photo that's from his freshman year, and now he looks a bit different as a senior. So I suggested that he gets that photo updated, and it can be really simple, you guys. Everybody's smartphone takes great photos. So if you have a friend who's great, and many people are great with the selfies, if they're great with selfies, they'll be great with taking your photo. You don't have to dress in a suit, but you can see with Avery's profile, she's got a jacket and a top on that look really professional. For guys, you don't have to have a suit jacket. You can have like a button-up shirt with or without a tie, or a button-up shirt that's open collar with a jacket over, whatever you feel comfortable in, whatever you feel like is the image, again, the way you want to present yourself here on LinkedIn. And then you can also customize the banner, which is the area in back there of Avery. So you can see she's got a picture of the Chicago skyline. A lot of people will use kind of a generic skyline photo that can be found online just to give their profile page a little more pop. And it's really easy to do. So those are two things I certainly recommend to you. Your information underneath your name can be really simple, like Avery's got a sophomore finance student at the Quinlan School of Business, and she's also an urban studies minor. So that's as simple as you need. Now you can see here, Avery's got a little over 200 connections. We're going to talk a little bit about that, and I'm hopeful that our guest Carlos tonight will talk a little bit about how he's had success building his network, because he's over 500 connections and over 700 followers as a college student, which is really impressive. So again, you want to create a professional intro section, keep it real simple. So if you're, whatever your major is, you can define your year if you want. You could also just say, finance major at the Quinlan School of Business, whatever you want to say there, keep it simple. if you want to say that. So that's all you really need here. As you grow in your career, this is something that you will enhance a little further, but for our purposes tonight, that's really all you need. Next, you do want to build your online network. So I talked about Avery's got 200 connections. Giorgio here has 100 connections. So making sure that you use LinkedIn to build your network is important. So one of the things I want to clarify, though, is the fact that, many people, not just students, but many people, professionals who I've worked with in my private coaching business, don't always know who to connect to. And sometimes they don't realize that in today's day and age of social media, whether it be professional social media like this, like LinkedIn, or whether it be, other social media, your network is a whole lot of different people, right? So on LinkedIn, I want you to know that if you're looking to build your connections, I want you to think about all of the people who you could connect with. I could be somebody you could connect with, right? Your family members who are on LinkedIn could be people you connect with. Your friends who are on LinkedIn could be people you connect with. Your instructors, your professors, your advisors, whomever here at Loyola University, people that you have connections and contact with, neighbors, people that locally, just anybody can be a connection on LinkedIn if they're also here. So I don't want you to feel that it can only be limited to people you've worked for or people you've worked with. Those people also should be included in that, of course. But my point is that you can actually really broaden your network on this platform by expanding beyond people who you've worked with. So I want you to know that that's completely okay. You don't have to feel weird about that. It's absolutely acceptable. And these days, kind of even more expected that you're going to have a mix of friends and business associates in your kind of connections list, okay? So the next thing I want to talk about is adding a profile statement to your About section on LinkedIn. So I copied this from one of the students who said I could share their information. So you can see it's a very simple profile statement, and this is actually taken directly off of their resume. And a little later tonight, I'm going to share with you some other resources on resume writing that we've got for you available to you. And I'll share with you how you can access those. But for now, I want you to see, here's one example of a profile statement: competitive and resourceful finance major, passionate about financial analysis and advising, and committed to delivering exceptional results, experienced in customer service and client communication, and skilled at collaborating effectively with a team, staying organized, and maintaining a strong work ethic. Determined, driven to perform, and motivated to succeed. That's a really powerful statement. So that's on Giorgio's resume. It's also on his LinkedIn profile. So the good news is that once your resume is completely buttoned up, it's going to be very easy for you to populate and build your LinkedIn profile. That'll be a great foundational tool for you to build from. I really will strongly recommend that you build your profile to, where possible, mimic your resume, because I want you to think about the fact that your LinkedIn profile is actually your online resume. So they really should be in sync and be in agreement. Many times I see people who have information on their resume that's a little different, or vice versa, right? Information on LinkedIn that's different than their resume. And that just gets to be very difficult to maintain and manage over time too. So if you kind of take an approach that my resume is my foundation, and that every time I update my resume, I'm going to go in and update LinkedIn, that makes it really, really simple moving forward. The other thing that you want to do is add details to your work experience. And when I work with professionals, as well as students, really anybody, I see that some people kind of forget that step. So what I was just talking about, right? Having what you put on your resume be replicated on LinkedIn is really important. So actually, this is part of Carlos, our guest student. it's part of his profile. So you can see he's got his internship here, and he's got the details of of the internship here. And this would match what he has on his resume document. So it's going to be very easy for him. If he needs to ever update this, great, it's easy enough to do, but more likely, it's just that he's going to be adding new things over time. But having this level of detail and going beyond just kind of this title and company is important on LinkedIn. You really want anybody who lands on your profile to be able to see, what work experience do you have? What value do you bring? What is the area of your professional focus? So having some detail there is really, really useful and beneficial. The other thing I want to suggest, and this is something that I would say is a little less common among college students. Certainly, I recommend it to all my professionals, but I want you to know this is something that you have access to as well. And it can be really powerful for you, especially as you're looking for internship opportunities or full-time jobs. And that's to request recommendations. So at the this is mine, and this appears at the bottom if you have the section of your LinkedIn profile. If you don't, we're going to see how you can add sections to your profile in a little while, but you can request a recommendation. Like if I wanted to request a new one, this little plus sign here would allow me to request one. I can put the name of the person in, and I can ask them to write me a recommendation. This all has to be done, just so you know, though, on the LinkedIn platform. So it won't help if somebody says, oh, I'll just email it to you. You have to have it done on their platform, because that person has to write it and send it to you, all embedded within the platform. So you're going to message back and forth. And once somebody sends you a recommendation, it goes into your messages. And then you have the ability to say, show this on my profile or not. You also have the ability to ask somebody to revise it if you want, whether you want them to revise it right then and there, or maybe even a few years down the line. You might say, hey, can you adjust this slightly because this isn't maybe so accurate anymore. But recommendations are very, very powerful. So if you've had an internship or a job, and you are still in contact with the person maybe who was your manager or supervisor, even a coworker, in your case for students, ideally somebody who you were reporting to in one way, shape, or form, who can speak to the quality of your work and who can let other people know, hey, I'd highly recommend this person. That's really powerful. And that's a great tool to leverage here on LinkedIn. So I want you to be thinking about that. So another thing that's really important on LinkedIn and that can help you is posting and engaging with content on LinkedIn. So Carlos, who we'll be hearing from in just a little bit, this is an example of some of his content on LinkedIn. You have an area on LinkedIn where you can kind of basically pin posts, and that's what he's done here. He's got a few select posts that he's featuring on his profile. So again, you can see how nice this looks, how nicely laid out this is. And then directly underneath, we can see all of Carlos's activity, right? He commented on a post. He commented on a post a few days ago. So commenting on posts counts as activity. Creating posts counts as activity. And you don't have to create lots of posts. When we look at Carlos's posting, for example, I've noticed that, he posted recently about being a participant in our Quinlan Ramble, our alternate spring break trip down to Atlanta. And I think before that, maybe if I'm not mistaken, Carlos, and you can correct me later if I'm wrong, but I think that the prior post was like 5 months before that. So, you don't have to post frequently, but if you are smart about what you post and are thoughtful about what you post, again, with an eye or a thought toward how are you positioning and marketing yourself, it can really help you over time. Now, what I'd like to kind of transition into is a tip that I tell so many students, because many people come to me with their resume draft. And one of the things that they've got on their resume is their LinkedIn URL, right? The address that's going to take me right to your page. But when you get an auto-generated URL from LinkedIn, It has a bunch of random characters at the end, letters and numbers that you don't need and that doesn't really look too sharp on your resume. So I want to show all of you tonight a great tip of how you can customize your own LinkedIn URL so it's shortened and looks extra professional. It's something that you can put on your resume header. It's also something that, again, as a job seeker, you can put in your email signature, right? You can put a link to it there so that somebody can go look at your profile. So that's another handy way to use it. So let's take a look at what that looks like. So when you're on your profile page, you will see this gray link. It's actually a hyperlink. Normally a hyperlink would be blue, but for whatever reason, they have it gray. Once you click on this, you will be able to go to this page where you can edit your URL. So you can see I've already customized mine and made it shorter, but in what many of you will see is something that looks like this, that says, hey, here's my whole address, and it includes all this random information at the end. So if you click that blue pencil and highlight it and delete it, now you can get to something that looks like this, which is a lot nicer for your resume or for an email signature. Now, I recommend that you try a few things. Your first name and last name together, like I have it. You could put your first name, a dash in between, and your last name. This will work if one of these methods will work if your name is a little unique, like mine. So luckily, there's not a lot of Lene Alves. So I was able to secure my name. Now, I met with a student earlier today, and she had a very common name and couldn't get her first and last name together. She couldn't get it with the hyphen in between. So what we did is we took her first name, hyphen, middle initial, hyphen, last name, and we were able to get that. So you can get creative. You can also add a number at the end. And if you do, I just recommend that you keep it as short as possible. So a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I wouldn't get into multi-digit numbers because we're trying to keep that URL very clean and easy to read. So once you do that, you hit save, and then you can use that on any of your documentation. So let's take a break here. We are going to bring on our guest student speaker. I'm going to stop sharing this presentation, and I am going to go ahead and share here we go, my Chrome browser with all of these profiles ready to go. So our guest tonight, such a generous guy, Carlos, is here to talk through with us what he has gotten out of LinkedIn. I'd love for you all to hear from a student, right? You can hear a lot from me. I know I'm a million years older than you, but I thought how great to have a student talk to you about his experience with LinkedIn and what benefits he's gotten from it. So Carlos, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, Lene. First of all, yes, I'm Carlos. I'm from Spain. I'm studying like US Europe double business major, and I'm a senior, so I'm pretty close to graduation. And that's why LinkedIn is so relevant, and you'll see how relevant it is as close as you get. Lene has well said that LinkedIn is a tool. I see LinkedIn as a tool. I don't see that is, of course, it's a social media app, but it helps you like to promote yourself, to show what you are doing to people, and to create your professional brand. I would say also that there is no one way to do it, because it's important also to see that if you want to focus on marketing, it may be different from finance, because you have to connect and engage your network. About what you said about being active, yes, my last post was, I think, 5 months ago, when I came here to Loyola to study this academic year, because it's not necessary to post many posts. It's just like to be active, to show your network that you are there, maybe comment something, recommend another thing. And because if you don't post and you're not active, it's the same as if you are not there. so you're like a ghost for your network. Yeah, maybe at first, if you know, like it's a different way of working this social media, so don't feel overwhelmed. And because I'm also a student and I have a lot to learn yet, so what I do is I follow like I would say LinkedIn influencers or people like Linnea, who is a very professional person in that way. She posts many things that are relevant. Yeah, because I think that at the end of the day, you are what your network is, because you can connect with many people and that's very useful, but at the end you have to have connections that are relevant to the path you want to take. Because for example, if I'm starting business, of course it would be super nice to have my neighbor who is maybe a pediatrician or a nutritionist in my network, but it might not be as useful as, for example, a classmate. But yeah, that's some points that I wanted to remark. But yeah, thank you.
Great. Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to ask you actually while we're on this, Carlos, how did you, if you don't mind, I'd like to ask you now while we're on your profile, how did you build your network up so significantly? Because I think it's pretty significant for where you're at in your life right now as a senior. So again, I don't want everybody to feel like you have to get 500 or 700 connections, but I do want to let Carlos take a moment to share about how he has built this over time, because I think that's important for you to understand.
Yeah, that's a good question, because at first you say you try to connect someone and you're so happy because you have your first connection, and then you see that that person has like 300 and then you get stressed. But I think the point is, for example, if you go to an event and you meet someone that may be relevant for you for your professional career, just ask him or her about his like LinkedIn, because it's very useful to keep in touch with people. For example, as you said, I just came from Atlanta, and every single person I met there, I connect with them, because I don't know what I'm gonna do after graduation. And I would say that every single step that you take in this professional world, and because we are very beginners, but everything you do, just try to keep a connection with those people, because yeah, you don't know what you're gonna do. Yeah, I have.
Perfect. Yeah, well, that's a great practice. Thank you, Carlos. I think that, and I was just kind of scrolling through to show everybody how much stuff you've got built out on here. It's quite a lot. I know the one thing I saw that you can also get is recommendations. So if you were to, and I'll show you how to do that on my profile. Actually, if I hit more, you can see right here, I could request, for example, because I'm on as myself, a recommendation from Carlos, but that's where you can request recommendations. Or there's usually, when you're on your own profile, let me go to mine. You see how I can add a profile section? You'll see that on yours because you only see that on yours. But now you can see that you want to add recommendations as a section. So if you're wondering, where do I find that? I don't see it. I don't have any. That's where you're going to be finding it right there. So thank you. That's perfect, Carlos, because, when I was in sales, I did the same thing. So consistently, over 29 years, and LinkedIn hasn't been around that long, but once it came on the scene about, I think it's now 17, 18 years old, I started using it. And every time I met people for business, I would connect with them just as a matter of course, a matter of part of doing business. And so it's like you said, you never know where you're going to be, what you're going to be doing. And so it's a good idea to connect with people. So, Avery actually joined us tonight. I saw that she popped on. She had said that I could share her profile with you guys. We saw, the clip of her intro section earlier. You can see she did the same thing that I talked about with putting her her profile statement here in her about section. She is active. Look she just reshared a post 4 hours ago. So bravo, Avery, well done. And again, you can see her professional experience is all built out here, right? So that people can see what she does. and what she's done, what she's doing, and then any organization. So that looks like a really great profile. And then the last one I wanted to share with you is Giorgio. Giorgio is another student I worked with, and he is a finance major. He is a senior looking for a job. Again, you're going to see some similar stuff. Now, Giorgio hasn't been super active. That's okay. But ideally have some regular activity. And again, that can even be as simple as liking content, commenting on content that you see from people in your network, because that's what you're going to see in your home feed. And just so you know, your home feed, let me go back to my profile, is right here, right? So when I talk about your feed, this is the tab that you're going to be in. And this is where you're going to see content from your contacts. Like here's a woman I'm connected with. She was a client and we met, we connected, we now keep in touch. So I'm going to like her content. I could comment on it, but I don't have to. So it's that simple, right? That's some activity on LinkedIn. So just wanted to share with you a couple of, I guess, real life examples. And I want to remind all of you who are on with us still, we are going to do some Q&A. So if you have any questions for me, for Carlos, please let us know, pop them in the chat. We'll be looking at the chat. I'm starting to see the chat has got some information populated. But before we do that, I'm going to just zip right back into the presentation. Now that we've taken a look at LinkedIn together, and I wanted to talk to you about some of those resources. So, I talked about resumes, and I know tonight is not a resume workshop. We're not going to get into that tonight, but for those of you who maybe haven't yet had the opportunity to work with a career coach on your resume, maybe you think your resume is in great shape, I want you to take a look at a couple of these resources and just do a quick check of it, okay? So you can go, anybody can go on the Quinlan School of Business website. So that's where I want you to go. And under Student Life, I want you to click Business Career Services. Once you do that, you're going to see a few options. And one of the options is, I think it's the second link, is called the Student Resources link. And that's going to include career toolkits. Now the toolkits, just so everybody here knows, because I know everybody attending is not a Quinlan student. Those career toolkits are written for all of the majors in the Quinlan School, but they're still a great idea starter for you. They're great for you to just see, what does this content look like? What should it read like? What are some good examples for me to at least get some inspiration from? But one of the best things that you've got also are the resume and cover letter templates that I created and posted last October. These are pre-formatted for you, and they're available for immediate downloads. So once you're in that student resources area, the third link down here is career toolkits and sample resumes. Once you click that, you will get to a page where you've got to open up the menu here for the undergrad students, and you're going to see the first two documents are Word docs that will automatically download to your computer, and they are templates. They are kind of plug and play templates for you. I recommend that you save them in Word, the offline version, ideally, because the online version seems to mess with the formatting, and then just highlight over each section and type over it with your information and fill in your information. And again, this is a great way to get started on your resume and building it out in a really professional way. And then you can go to a career coach and have them help you fine tune it. That's what we love to do, is help you guys, of course, but it's really great if you can take a look at some of these resources and get a head start. So I just wanted to make sure I let you know about that, since I talked about using your profile statement in your about section and things like that. This will actually help you with developing your resume content, which, like I said, should be the foundation of your LinkedIn profile. I want to remind you about a couple of career services as well. I talked a moment ago, and then we're going to go right into Q&A. When you meet with a career coach, we can help you with resumes, cover letters, and other professional materials. Talk to you about your major or your minor, help you prepare for interviews, help you negotiate a salary if you have an opportunity to do that, help you with networking strategies, help you with searching on Handshake. That is another thing I'm really passionate about. Looking for jobs on Handshake is the best place to look, because Handshake is actually LinkedIn for college students. You have a profile you can build out there too, and I recommend you do that. But all of those postings are companies who are actively looking for college students or more recent grads. So you will see some jobs in Handshake that maybe ask for a few years of experience. If you're not yet graduated and haven't worked professionally yet, you won't want to apply for those jobs. The vast majority, though, are aimed at undergrads who are either looking for internships or full-time jobs. So we can help you search most effectively on there for the types of roles you're looking for. And actually, this is outdated. We don't have coaching our virtual drop-in hours in the Quinlan School anymore on Mondays. We only have them on Thursdays. We've opened up Mondays for scheduled appointments. So let's go ahead and let's see if I want to get to, and then Peter's going to talk in a moment. But so let's stop the share here. Let's go ahead and let me look at the chat and see if any of you have any questions about LinkedIn. For me or anybody else. Okay. Avery, you're welcome. Thank you for allowing me to share your profile. Is there a way to notice if internship opportunities or reach out are scams on LinkedIn? A way to figure that out. That's a good question. I don't find that most of the time they are a scam. I guess I find that what I've heard and what I've seen with some people who I know is that typically a lot of those scams tend to come through text directly to your phone. They tend to come through like messaging on maybe like Facebook. I don't know if possibly too on Instagram, I would think. On LinkedIn, generally, I haven't heard of a whole lot of that. So if you've had a specific experience, let us know. But it's funny you say that, because I had a friend a very good friend of mine, so my age, in her mid-50s, and she got reached out to by a recruiter, and he was a contract recruiter. He didn't work. She was being asked to apply for a job as a contractor for Citibank. And she was like, this is weird. He doesn't work for Citibank. I don't know why he's reaching out to me. However, it was completely legit. He was just a third-party recruiter. She didn't know the name of the recruiting firm. We looked him up on LinkedIn. So that one of the things that you can do is look up the person who's reaching out to you on LinkedIn, and you can get a sense of if they're a scammer or not. I have seen some people who will reach out, for example, like who've reached out in the past to me, who had profiles that had almost no information on them and wanted to just connect. And I didn't, because I could see that it almost looked scammy. LinkedIn seems to have a fairly good lock on that. So if you want to add anything to that question and let us know if you've had any weird experiences, I would say you don't have to be. And Carlos, you've been nodding along. If you have anything to add, let me know. Okay.
Sometimes you receive, like when they send you a message, it has like a word before like the message that says email.
In mail, right.
So that also allows you to know that it's fair or not.
Yeah, that's a great point. If you see somebody and it says in mail, that means that they're paying money to be able to message people that they're not connected to. They're paying a premium for their LinkedIn premium service, which, by the way, we didn't talk about that tonight. LinkedIn offers a premium program. You do not need a premium membership to do any of what you saw tonight. So Carlos, your profile, which is super built out and super deluxe, it's all free. So this is one of the reasons I love LinkedIn. You guys are college students, right? Everybody's on a budget when you're a college student. People are on budgets their whole lives, but like especially so in college, and you don't need to pay them a penny for this. And that's what's so incredible. One of the other things I want to mention is that when you asked about scams, recruiters have a special version of LinkedIn called LinkedIn Recruiter. They have the ability to do much more advanced searches for candidates. So if, let's say, a company, so it could be a direct company that maybe has their in-house team of recruiters. Let's say, I'm going to just say a big company like is going to be paying for a service like this, like a McDonald's, right? Or maybe Allstate. I don't know, but maybe not. But those would be the types of like sizes of businesses that probably have in-house recruiters, might be paying for that advanced feature. But there are also many recruiting firms all over the country. One that is international is Robert Half International, for example, and they have a big Chicago office. I just had lunch with their district director, the woman who runs all of Chicago, last week. And they are what's called a third-party recruiter. So the company is here, Robert Half is here. The company is hiring Robert Half to do the recruiting work for them. Maybe because this company doesn't have a big team of recruiters, or maybe because they don't want to deal with the initial process of finding qualified applicants' resumes. They just want Robert Half to deliver to them, here's a group of candidates who are a good fit. And by the way, companies like that are recruiting for all levels of jobs, entry level, all the way up to CEOs. So they have different divisions. So anyway, recruiters are using LinkedIn. They're typically using this advanced software. So if they're recruiting for a role, let's say an entry-level role in marketing or in supply chain, which is in very high demand right now, right? Or finance or accounting, they might go on LinkedIn, perform a search of people in a certain market who are, let's say, college seniors and finance majors or something like they can get really detailed with their searches. So another good reason to build out your profile is because there are recruiters on there looking for talent. While I cannot guarantee they're going to be looking for you and finding you on there, I do know that a young woman in the Quinlan School who is a supply chain major. Now she's working with a mentor, but that mentor advised her to get her LinkedIn profile souped up. She did. And you know who reached out to her? Amazon with an internship opportunity. So she didn't even reach out to them. That is how powerful this tool can be. Again, it isn't going to be like that for everybody. Certain in-demand jobs are going to have those types of things happen more often than others, right? If you're in a broad-based job like sales, you might still get reached out to, or marketing, you might still, if you have a specific skill or some specific experience that they're looking for. But certainly for recruiters, they're going to be trying to pinpoint some people maybe that are hard to find. And they're going to be using that tool for that. Juliana is asking, how many work experiences should be displayed on a resume? Well, it depends on what you have. So, your resume should just be one page. So depending on how much detail you have, you don't want to go over one page. So most college students will have, it could be a mix of things. It could be some work experience and some volunteer experience or extracurricular experience. But my son's resume, which is actually the experience, the work experience on that template that I pointed you all to, that work experience is my son's actual work experience that he used on his resume as he went to find a full-time job following graduation. And he had 3 different work experiences that he put on his resume, and we eliminated some that he had in high school. So typically you're going to want to have your work experience during college is ideal. But if you need need to fill the resume with more stuff, then we might add some jobs that you've had prior or volunteer experience that you've had prior. Again, that might be something good to consult with a career coach on, depending on your unique experience. We'll always help you kind of really position yourself in the best way possible and put your best foot forward. But that's a great question. Are there any pieces of LinkedIn for those of you who are on? I know we've got 37 folks on. Any other questions, anything I didn't address that you want to know about? I really tried to kind of keep it to the basics because you don't need to blow out this thing day one. You just need to start building it and continue building it over time. Like Carlos said, I do the same thing personally. I am 30 some years into my career and I'm continuing to adjust and refine my LinkedIn profile regularly. I'm making tweaks on my headline. I'm making tweaks in my about section. So it is not something that you want to just kind of create and let it lay dormant. And I'm very active, as Carlos said on there. Of course, I'm posting lots of recommendations and tips about job search for job seekers because that's what I do. I'm a career coach. So anyway, if there's anything I didn't cover, but I think I really tried to cover the basics for you guys. I hope it wasn't too overwhelming. I really did try to keep it simple. So if we don't have any other questions, it's 7:23. We're right on time. I guess what I'd like to do is, Peter, let you give some closing comments and talk a moment more about Alpha. If you want to just let the students know, we had a number of folks who joined late. So let me pop that screen back up, and we will, oops, we popped the right one up. And we can let you wrap up, and then I'll say goodbyes, and then we'll let everybody get to the rest of their evenings.
All right, thank you so much, Lene. I'd first like to thank everyone who came out tonight. Lene gave so many grateful tips, and especially Carlos with his LinkedIn profile. And I just wanted to stress the importance of developing relationships, especially within my internship right now. Relationships are so important, and it's not just like, oh, hey, can I just get your LinkedIn? It's actually going further and developing that relationship. Like, hey, do you want to get some lunch sometime, or, talk about work, make some conversation. It's not, you're just developing that one connection just from that LinkedIn. It's you actually have to pursue it further yourself. And you never know, that other person could move to another company. They could be searching for jobs, and they could be like, hey, you should apply for this position here at this job. So I cannot stress the importance of developing these relationships. And I'd just like to thank for all of you again. And for Alpha, we are having a bunch of different internship opportunities coming up the next month. So if you guys want any more information on how to join, my email is right there for anyone.
Great. Thank you so much, Peter. And thank you so much for partnering with us, helping us promote this event. Thank you again to all of the students who attended. I want you to know, we know that you've got lots of things that are vying for your attention. It's an overwhelming situation for all of you now with so much being online. I know that there are just lots of people competing for your attention, and I hope that you found tonight's program valuable. I hope that you feel like you got value out of it. And I hope that you now also are aware of some resources you may not have been aware of, or you're aware of some reasons why you want to create a profile and why it matters. Because I don't want you to think that you do this for no reason. You do this for a purpose. And if there's not a purpose here, we don't want you to do it. We want you to spend your time wisely, because we all have limited time in our lives, and so we have to be smart about how we use it. So I hope today I've given you some shortcuts. I've given you some guidance about things that you can easily do and that will allow you to build a great profile out. So I want to thank all of you for coming and being here tonight. Thank you again, Peter. Thank you, Carlos, for joining and for giving the student perspective, and giving students, and Peter, you as well, for really giving people some real life information from the student perspective. That's so important. So thank you, Daphne, for coming. You're welcome. Thank you, everybody. I hope you all have a great night. And for any undergrad Quinlan students who I haven't met with, I look forward to seeing you on my calendar soon. All right, have a great night, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.